Chase Field in Arizona. Along with Pat Paris, Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. The Cardinals looking for win number 80 tonight. They would be the first team in the big leagues to reach number 80. There we are with some great photos. Arizona is at 500 and 5.5 games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
110 degrees outside when we were posing for those photos this afternoon. They turned those around quickly.
No, they did. And you look great, too, by the way.
So do you, Dan.
A strike to Matt Carpenter. And we're underway. Carpenter tied the game yesterday with a long home run measured at 432 feet. He's hitting .260. 19 home runs and 65 RBIs. What do we know about Robbie Ray, the starter tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks? Start number 16.
Actually has a good ERA, but he has not been good lately. I would say Robbie Ray is a star of the future, but he's not quite there yet. Good stuff, 93-94 with the fastball.
And the Cardinals facing a lefty starter. That always gives you a little cause of concern with all the left-handers the Cardinals do have.
And they have not had a lot of success against lefties, especially ones they've not seen before, like Ray.
Ray started out 2-1 with an ERA of 1.09 his first 4 starts of the year. In 11 starts since then, 1-8 with an ERA that's near 5.
Just 23 years of age, and that's why I say he's a star of the future. He has an electric arm. He's just not quite mastered the fastball command. That'll be an issue for him, something we'll watch for as this game unfolds.
The 2-2. Take it low and outside, and the count runs full. In the month of August, the Cardinals have outscored their opponents by a total of 5 runs, and yet they are 5 games above 500 this month. Tells you the back end of their bullpen is really good, and the pitching's been very good.
I think a lot of Cardinal fans could win bar bets by saying, what's the Cardinals record? I bet you the Cardinals are playing 600 baseball or better in the month of August. And I think people would say, I'll take that bet, and they'd lose. Cardinals with a record of 13-8. That's just over 600 baseball. So I think a lot of folks are concerned about a drop-off, but the team continues to produce. The problem is the Pirates and the Cubs are producing even at a faster pace.
Interesting story, by the way, about Matt Carpenter. He was driving to Cincinnati as a kid. His dad told me this, and they were looking for a road sign to go to a tournament, and Carpenter couldn't read the sign. And they figured out that summer his vision wasn't right, so they went and got his vision checked, and lo and behold, he needed glasses as they work on his contacts there. Something you take for granted, but how important it is just to be able to see the baseball, see the spin, see the dot on a curveball or the slider.
Yeah, if you can't see a sign, the baseball is going to be a little tougher. Vision's such an important part of this game.
He's still fighting it right now. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Matt Carpenter. Hits it the other way. That's slicing. Inciarte over. Great effort. And this will be at least an 8-pitch at bat for Matt Carpenter. So here it is, an 8-pitch at bat for Matt Carpenter. This is what we see time and again. He'll go to 2 strike counts. It's Arcia in the driver's seat, and the most pitches per plate appearance this year. Mike Trout, number 1, then Carter, Votto, Granderson, and Matt Carpenter. An 8-pitch walk to start the game
with a fuzzy contact.
Let's take a look at the Cardinals lineup. There's a look at Tommy Pham. He'll dig in, bat second. Then Peralta and Hayward, Molina, Piscotty, Wong, Reynolds, and the pitcher Jaime Garcia. On the bench for Mike Matheny's club, Greg Garcia and Brandon Moss from the left side. Borges, Cosme Cruz from the right side. A short lead at first by Carpenter as Pham looks at a strike. He had a key hit in that 7th inning in game 1 of the series, in which the Cardinals picked up 3 runs.
We've talked about Yadier Molina throughout his career being a good hit and run guy, but I think Tommy Pham could develop into that kind of guy too. In the second spot in the lineup, he likes to hit the ball the other way.
Chad Fairchild is the home plate umpire tonight. Pat Hoberg is at first. Jim Joyce, the crew chief, at second. Greg Gibson is at third. 1 ball, 1 strike on Tommy Pham. Hits it the other way and a base hit into right field. Carpenter to second. Now on his way to third. Throw is offline and Pham winds up at second base. Nice call, partner.
I think Carpenter even was thinking about going on that. He kind of had a false start. Pham does hit the ball the other way. And this is the classic example of what we talked about yesterday about forcing a throw. And that's what Carpenter does here. He reads it, thinks he can make it to third, so he forces the throw to third. And not only is he safe, but Pham trails behind him. And now the Cardinals have 2 runners in scoring position. You have to think twice as an outfielder about whether or not you're going to try to get that lead running.
And so here is Johnny Peralta with 16 home runs. He's driven in 56, batting .284. Infield is back, and the first pitch is taken for a ball. The Cardinals have at least 10 homers from all 4 of their infield positions this year. Only other seasons that has happened for the Cardinals: 1953, 2003, and here in 15. Two and 0. I thought you brought up a great point too over the weekend with San Diego and the play that Brandon Moss did not score on with a base hit to right. It's a twofold situation, as you mentioned, for the right fielder. You can try to get him at the plate, but you know that runner, which is the hitter, is going to wind up at second base more than likely. 2-1.
We do know that Tomas, the right fielder, has a plus arm, and he wanted to show it off there. The throw was not bad. It was just up the line a bit. But it takes away the double play possibility, and it may lead to a bigger inning for St. Louis.
The 2-1 pitch. Runners hit second and third. 2-2. Lowest average against those lefties. We talked about it. The Cardinals struggle against left-handed pitching at .237. Count is even now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hit out of play. Diamondbacks, a very hot team. 19-12 in their last 31 games. That was after being 7 games below 500. It's another 2-2. On the inside corner and a strikeout of Johnny Peralta. Let's take a look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal.
Yeah, one thing we've seen in the early going, he likes his fastball. He throws it over 70% of the time when you add the 4-seamer and the sinker. The slider at 17%, the changeup at 11%. And you can tell he goes to the fastball when he has issues, when he has troubles. He hits the inside corner. Peralta knew it.
Jason Hayward is your cleanup man. 1 out. Runners at second and third. Hayward slicing into left center. That ball is down. 2 runs will score. Hayward, the wide turn around first base. He'll stop there. 2-0 Cardinals. RBIs 45 and 46. St. Louis strikes first.
And the Cardinals acquired Jason Hayward in the offseason. One of the things that we heard is he has trouble against left-handed pitching. Well, we haven't really seen that this year. He's had a number of good at-bats, including this one. Carpenter, the runner at third. He tags just to make sure that is going to drop, and right on his heels is Tommy Pham. One more look at the location. A get-ahead fastball, and he didn't get ahead.
Hayward came in hitting .288 against lefties this year. 2-0 Cardinals. Here's Yadier Molina. We'll see if the Cardinals want to maybe hit and run here, as you mentioned, with a guy like Molina. Maybe straight steal with Jason Hayward, who's one shy of 20 for the year.
Why not? Press the advantage here. At the gap on the right side of the infield, Yadi can take it there. Yadi's been comfortable at the plate. The 7 RBIs in his last 5 games.
One out. First pitch to Molina. Isn't this a typical St. Louis Cardinals inning? An 8-pitch walk by Carpenter.
Yes.
Then a base hit to right. They push the envelope a little bit, and they're doing that more this year. Pham a heads-up play to trail to get at second base, and Hayward brings him in. Little things they've done.
Offense really starting to gel for the Cardinals the last few days.
Hayward is running. Pitch is swung on and missed. Throw to second and safe. Stolen base number 20 this year for Jason Hayward.
Jason loves the head first slide, and here's the tag, the throw, the tag, and very close and not able to get Jason. He eludes with his right hand, goes around the glove and gets the outside of the bag. That's some slide. The D-backs may want to look at that, but I think if they look at it, they'll see that Hayward did a nice job of avoiding the tag. There's our umpires, crew chief. Jim Joyce is at second base today, and he was right on that call.
He is considered one of the best, if not the best, in all of baseball.
Absolutely.
Paul Goldschmidt way off the line at first base. How many times have we seen Molina just stick the bat out and take it that way? The 2-1 instead. A check on Jason Hayward. Stolen base number 20 moments ago.
Well, we've been thrown out a couple of times, so it's not just getting it done with the legs, but also with the body and the slide. Nice work. Great view too, wasn't it?
It was. 2-1 pitch. Almost looking like Molina's trying to go that way.
He heard you.
The 2-2. I'm sure the numbers will tell you that Molina loves to hit it to the right side. We've talked about that. With his speed or lack thereof, Goldschmidt can even play further off the line when you think about a ground ball and trying to get back to the bag.
That wouldn't be a problem. The problem would be a ball hit down that first base line on a late swing.
3-2 instead of check again on Hayward at second base. Inning started with an 8-pitch walk by Matt Carpenter. Pham a single into right. Strikeout of Peralta. Hayward the base hit. Then the steal. And here is a 3-2 pitch to Molina. Takes it the other way into the corner. Here comes Hayward. Yadi on his way to second base. changing spots with Jason Hayward. 3-0 Cardinals.
And you were right on that one. That's the way to beat a defensive shift. Take advantage of it. Yadi was absolutely trying to hit the ball the other way on strike number 2 that he fouled off. And he got a pitch he could handle. I think the other problem with overplaying somebody defensively is you are relying on the command of your young pitcher, which you know is not there yet.
Great point. That's exactly right. Here's Piscotty, so 2 runs allowed in the first inning. That was in the previous 15 starts. 3 here tonight. Piscotty, first pitch to him, off speed pitch taken low.
At the first changeup we've seen.
Ray was scheduled to go last night, and his 6 starts on 4 days rest, which would have been the case yesterday. He was 0-5 with an ERA of 5. So they push him back one day, and right now he's struggling. Molina is running. A throw to third, and is the tag there? No, it is not. A stolen base for Yadier Molina. That's number 3 this year. The running Redbirds here in the first.
Well, and Ray has been paying attention. He's had about 4 moves to first, 2 inside moves to second. And Yadi just figured, well, he was done with that. I'll just steal him blind, and he did.
Now the infield is drawn in. 1 out, 2 balls, no strikes on Stephen Piscotty.
So now the infield is drawn in, and the pitcher's mind spins even faster because he knows he allowed Yadier Molina to steal third. You see the high throw, the tag not down on Yadi. He avoids the tag. But the world is spinning right now for Ray.
The 2-1 inside, and it's 3-1. Colton Wong is on deck. You could not draw up a better start for the Cardinals in game 2 of this series.
I'd like to draw a home run.
You may get one. 3-1 pitch.
That changeup you can see coming a mile away, and I don't want to pick on the guy that's struggling here because certainly he's got a great future. Again, just 23 years of age, not a high round draft choice, but started to develop really good velocity in the minor leagues. Came over in a trade, getting an opportunity here. He's going to be a good one, but I can see the changeup coming about halfway through his motion. If I can see it, so can Piscotty.
3-2. There it was again. Off speed pitch. So not the changeup, but that was just rolling, spinning.
It slows down his delivery a tad. 30 pitches already. And there's only 1 out.
Three-2. Hit down the right field line and out of play. Three-two. Really telegraphing the off-speed pitches.
Yeah, it's not hard to figure. You don't have to check the gun to look at the velocity. You can see it in his motion before he releases the ball. And that's too early a clue for the hitter to keep his hands back. Piscotty tried to keep him back and just kind of jumped a little bit at that. But he's got to find a way to keep his motion the same way with his off-speed pitches that he has with his fastball.
3-2. Piscotty takes a ball. 2 walks in the inning. Brings in Colton Wong. Diamondbacks defense in Ciarte in left. A.J. Pollock, great speed at center. Yasmani Tomas is in right. Hill, Ahmed, Owings, Goldschmidt, who committed just his 3rd error of the season last night, is at first. Wellington Castillo behind the plate. One out, runners at the corners. And with that, the Diamondbacks, looks like they have a right-hander starting to throw right now in their bullpen. That's Delgado. The right-hander getting loose. Here's a 1-0.
Delgado was initially scheduled to start one of the games of this series until they called up Chacin for game 1 yesterday.
1-1. Hit out of play.
Nice to see Colton back in the lineup.
See if he gets back on track.
If there's anybody you're hoping for to have a nice game, 2 or 3 hits, nice defensive plays, it's Colton Wong.
Big gap in right center. And the 1-2. Wong chops it towards first and a foul ball. Couple of days for him to sit, not play. I'm not sure you relax. However, he's not in the lineup. Back in there tonight. It was an interesting night, to say the least, for Greg Garcia. Couple of errors, but maybe the play of the night on a bunt. He was a runner at first base and wound up sliding in head first safely at third. Here's another 1-2. Wong fights it off. That's a base hit into left. 4-0 Cardinals. Wong with RBI number 49 as Molina scores.
The Cardinals just are not being fooled right now by Robbie Ray. There's too much of a difference between his off-speed pitches and his fastball. You just know it's coming. Taking the guesswork out of what a pitcher is trying to do in terms of upsetting the hitter's timing. There's no timing issue. You see a fastball, you hit it. You see the slowed motion, you keep your hands back and try to hit the breaking ball.
I would think this is not a good matchup for Robbie Ray against Mark Reynolds right here. A veteran that can sit back, make the adjustment.
And if he knows what's coming, I think that's a very good point. I mean, you're going to get Mark Reynolds to strike out by kind of outguessing him and getting him with an off-speed pitch he's not looking for. But if he sees it, oh boy. And boy, does the ball carry here in Phoenix.
Reynolds, the former Diamondback, now with St. Louis, 10 home runs. He has driven in 40. First pitch, a fastball and a strike. If he tries to throw the breaking ball, it's just going to spin and maybe right into the wheelhouse of Mark Reynolds. It's 4 hits in the inning, 2 walks, 4 runs. Here's an 0-1 pitch. Reynolds hits it left side. They'll get the lead man at third as he pounded that into the ground. A sarcastic cheer from the crowd here in Arizona.
Sarcastic cheers are always amusing unless you're the one that's the beneficiary of it. And it's very painful if you are.
So 2 outs and 2 on. Jaime Garcia batting in the first. He's hitting .080 this year. First pitch to him is a strike. The Pirates lose tonight against Miami, the final 5-2. So if the Cardinals can post a victory, that would push Pittsburgh to 4.5 games back. The check swing, and Garcia did go. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 2 good slides helping out the cause in this inning. Hayward with stolen base number 20. Molina with number 3. Both came around to score. 4-0. Tonight here in game 2 against Arizona. And Jaime been nothing short of outstanding in his starts this year. Inciarte, Pollock, and Goldschmidt in the first. Then Castillo, Hill, Tomas, Owens, Ahmed, and the pitcher Ray. Saltalamacchia, we saw him late last night. Backup catcher, switch hitter. Peralta and Lamb from the left side. And on the right side, it's Hernandez. Start number 13 for Jaime Garcia.
The first thing you think of right now if you're Jaime Garcia is the score's 0-0. It's actually something that guys will say to each other. You go out there with a nice lead, you've got to kind of do your job now and forget about what your offense has done for you already. But Garcia certainly has had a terrific season, Dan. It's his start number 13, the 5-4 record. Against the Diamondbacks, he's been very, very good in his career. And really against everybody, he has 47-30 in his career in terms of wins and losses.
Ender Inciarte, left fielder, will lead it off, hitting .293. 4 homers, 34 driven in. And the first pitch is a strike. Talked about it last night. This is a dangerous Diamondbacks team, in particular with what they can do offensively. Last 2 weeks as a team hitting above 300. They are tops in the National League in runs scored. The 1-1. One ball and 2 strikes. Popped up into shallow left. Steven Piscotty. 1 away. Hyundai pitch arsenal for the Cardinals lefty.
Yeah, and really a lot of plus pitches for Garcia. The sinking fastball is really his best pitch. He's going to get ground balls with that, occasional strikeout. 4-seamer he'll use just to kind of a get me over fastball. The slider and the curveball can be devastating for Garcia, and at times the changeup's his best pitch. So he's a well-rounded guy in terms of his mechanics, and he does something, Dan, that most pitchers do not do. If you watch him closely, look the way he hooks the baseball with his wrist. I think that creates movement and a little bit of deception. As he takes the ball out of his glove, he actually cocks his wrist and puts his hand downward, and that's not normally taught. Very natural for him, and it certainly works.
Just talking with the Cardinals strength and conditioning coaches, they talk about his lower half. They say Garcia has some of the strongest legs. You see the leg drive that he has, but some of the strongest lower body of anybody on the team. 2 balls, 1 strike.
The hooking action that he does, haven't seen very many pitchers do that successfully over the years. The right-hander that used to do it very well, pitched for the Cardinals a bit, but had some big years, Rick Sutcliffe.
Just thinking of him. Garcia will step and throw and makes the play. If Jaime is right, he'll get his fair share of strikeouts, but you'll see ground ball after ground ball. Cardinals defense, Piscotty, Pham, and Hayward in the outfield. Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Reynolds along the infield. Molina behind the plate. And the defense is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. It was a rarity last night. Goldschmidt went 0 for 4 and committed an error. He's done that just 4 times in his career. That's it. And one of the key moments in the game last night, bases loaded. Goldschmidt at the plate hits into an inning-ending double play, and the Cardinals turned 4 of those in the game last night. Quickly, no balls, 2 strikes.
Sinker on the outside corner, changeup on the outside corner.
That's what he's done against St. Louis. 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball down and in. Be fun to see what Garcia could do with a full year of being healthy. The numbers he might be able to put up. Robbie Ray threw 43 pitches in the first inning. Garcia trying to finish off Goldschmidt with pitch number 13 here in the bottom half.
He's seen 4 different pitches for Garcia. Fastball, sinker, slider, curveball.
Here's a 1-2. And we talk about the injuries with Garcia. It was serious injuries too. Tommy John surgery, thoracic outlet surgery, shoulder surgery. Been tough to keep him on the field.
Certainly serious injuries for pitchers.
Yes. 3-2. Goldschmidt will set the all-time record in walks before this season is through for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He has 95 this year. 4 shy of his career best, 99. And 5 shy of the team record. Take it just a bit high. So a 2-out walk.
Garcia thought he had him right there. It looked like he actually mouthed he's sorry because he's walking off the mound. He thought that was strike 3. Could not get Goldschmidt to chase after getting ahead of him 0-2. That's plate awareness. That's how you get all those walks.
The Diamondbacks have been very aggressive. Point of emphasis by Tony La Russa, Chip Hale. He wanted them to be more aggressive this year. 8 stolen bases in their last 5 games. That changes a little bit with the guy behind the plate tonight.
And it changes when you're down 4-0 early.
Castillo with a home run last night. 15 of his 17 have come since June 3rd. Here's the 0-1. Now it's 0-2. Just a bit high. One and 2 the count. Cardinals picked up 4 runs in the top of the first. Goldschmidt has 20 steals standing at the bag at first. Think about that. 24 home runs, 93 RBIs, 96 walks, leads in many offensive categories in the National League. He said, I want to steal more bases this year. I'm going to concentrate on that. And he's 20 of 25. Here's a 1-2. And a fly ball lifted out to deep center. Pham back with room and makes the catch. Arizona strands a man. 4-0 after 1.
Look at the video of Jaime Garcia. There's the hook we're talking about in his delivery. The hand is facing downward, and it all the way through the motion, he kind of has it in a little hooked fashion. If you watch video of Rick Sutcliffe at his prime, that's how he pitched. But very few guys had the arm strength to do that. And again, it's not necessarily an advisable way to teach how to throw a baseball, but you can get great movement and great sink out of that.
Here's Carpenter, top of the lineup for the Cardinals. Even in that replay, just to see the movement with Garcia dropped about a half foot. Ground ball that's taken to first baseman Paul Goldschmidt. There's one away. Let's turn to Rick Horton's Toyota keys to the game.
Well, anytime you've got Jaime Garcia, you got a chance to win, and the key for Garcia is to keep the ball down in the zone. That is key number one. Garcia certainly has had a nice season. He's done that. If he's going to get hit, it's going to be on a ball up in the zone. And for the Cardinals to continue to have an offensive surge. We've seen it already in this game. Last two games, they've shown a lot more kind of pop and sizzle on the offensive side. Wouldn't it be nice if this offense starts to kind of just keep moving to higher levels as the season goes on? 6 weeks left in the season. Play your best offensive baseball in late September. Be pretty nice.
Really, that's what they did when they got into the playoffs last year. Think about the Dodgers series, a team that didn't hit a lot of home runs, and all of a sudden, Carpenter's hitting home runs. The 2-1. 2-2 on Pham, who singled and scored. And to get run support for Jaime Garcia. That's been, you know, you look at his record and you say, well, ERA is great. He's been shutting down the opposition. Why is he 5-4 with an ERA that's under 2? Much of that is due to the fact the team does not score for him. Third walk issued by Robbie Ray.
Tommy Pham does not really have the average to show it yet, but I'm liking more and more seeing him in that second spot in the lineup.
Well, you talked about it earlier, the fact that he has shown a propensity to go to right field.
Yeah.
Hit sharply, and oh, what a play this is. Ahmed and the turn, and Goldschmidt can't pick it. Tremendous play by Nick Ahmed, who's known as a very good defender, as he robs Johnny Peralta of a base hit.
Well, that looked like a base hit off the bat of Peralta. There's Ahmed. There's the turn in the dirt. This ball should have been handled by Goldschmidt. Not a difficult pick for him, especially being such a good first baseman.
That catches your attention with Nick Ahmed.
I'll say.
Hayward with a base hit into left center that scored 2. Breaking ball and a strike.
Dan, you've heard me say it many times, and everybody's going to have their own position that they like to watch play. Maybe you like to watch the third baseman making the backhand play and coming in on a ball, and maybe you like a catcher doing his thing. Yachty certainly blocking the ball, throwing guys out. I love to watch shortstops play. Good shortstops play at the big league level. Incredibly acrobatic.
Cardinals strand a runner, 4-0 midway through 2.
Dan, of course,
it's a combination, Pat, of you and Jimmy Hayes.
Well, whatever works for you, Dan. I'll go by whatever you call me.
I thought that was kind of funny.
I loved it. I'll just go ahead and answer to anything you want to say. Let's talk about
Lance. Threw you off a little bit, but I wasn't sure if you're going to go with it.
Let's talk Lance Lynn, shall we?
Last night, there's a good idea.
He got the win. He gets to the double-digit win total again, and what Lance Lynn was able to do tonight was something that we haven't really seen. He's a fly ball pitcher, a strikeout pitcher. Well, last night he got ground ball outs. In fact, he induced 4 double play balls, a couple of them in very key situations with the bases loaded. And there was one particular situation you remember that was an error on Greg Garcia, who was playing second base last night. that led to some frustration and the bases loaded. Yachty went out and talked to Lance, and I talked to Lance earlier tonight for the pregame show, and he said, yeah, just need to clear my head, just take a deep breath. And then he went right back and he attacked, and he got a ground ball just like Jaime Garcia does here, and he was able to get the double play. And really, that allowed the Cardinals to come back and win that game in the 7th inning. It was pretty impressive to see when you've got a guy like Lance. It's more of a fly ball and a strikeout pitcher. I'll send it back up to you. Let's see, Dan and Dan Horton and Rick McLaughlin.
Here's the side story behind the scenes, so to speak. I was talking with Jim today, and I said, you guys are like interchangeable parts.
There
just
you go.
Machines that could do the sidelines. You can do a little hosting, so I thought I'd have a little fun with that. But, you know.
It was fun.
All right.
It was fun. I'll tell you another thing I liked about that interview.
Trying to throw him off a little bit.
That interview with Pat, you can't throw Pat off. He's
No.
too much of a professional. But in his interview with Lance, I like the fact that Lance said, you know, this is what the goal is to kind of think through the situation. Bad things happen and move on. He said, but, you know, obviously I'm an emotional guy, and that's how I am.
He's screaming off the mound a couple of times.
And he's not going to kind of back off that or deny it. And I don't think he really needs to, as long as it's not directed at somebody else in a negative way.
Yasmani Tomas hit the Cardinals very well in the series in St. Louis, and that continues. Krispy Kreme dozen deal. If your St. Louis Cardinals get 9 hits today, you're invited into Krispy Kreme tomorrow, receiving a dozen of their original glazed donuts for only $3.99. Stop by one of the 4 St. Louis area Krispy Kreme locations for this sensational deal. It's now 80 games that a starter has allowed 2 runs or less after Lance Lynn last night. That's an incredible number. You know, the last time that a pitcher was able to turn 2 double plays with the bases loaded as starter was Joe McGrain back in 1987. It's only been done 6 times since 1960 for the Cardinals,
Where you've had 2 in one game.
That's tapped foul. Tomas with 5 stolen bases this year. Owings at the plate, hitting .237. Yasmani Tomas was the big signing for Arizona. They tried him at third, and that was not successful. More of an outfielder. They figured that out early on in spring training.
I cannot think of a Cardinal left-handed starter since Joe McGrain that's had as much movement as Jaime Garcia. Joe McGrain had extraordinary movement. Wasn't a 95 guy, but his ball just took off. It moved everywhere. And I can't think of another guy between McGrain and Garcia that had nearly that much movement.
Can you think of anybody right now in the big leagues that has this type of movement? I can't. The Cardinals catchers tell you he's one of the toughest guys to catch because you know the movement's coming and it's really late. You know, that last 5 to 10 feet, how much a ball will cut or dip.
Better be alert.
Here's a 1-2, and that's swung on and missed. First strikeout for Jaime Garcia. Rotation: Garcia, Waka, Martinez, Lynn, and Lackey. All of them ERAs under 3 this late in the season. Give me dirty looks at how I threw that down to Pat.
I just give you dirty looks all the time. It doesn't really have anything to do with that. Well, you knew you couldn't throw Pat, though, right? You knew that.
You tell me that he is smooth as silk.
Unflappable, you might say.
On those post-game shows, because it's chaos in his ear with the earpiece and folks behind the scenes trying to make sure that he's getting something right, get it on the air.
So much fun to do those, and it's, you know, obviously the goal in the post game, and love when I get a chance to do it, is you're trying to get the players' comments about the game and the manager's comments, the follow up, the kind of the inside scoop of what you just saw, and kind of a little bit more of the player's perspective of the why of what happened. But there's a lot happening very quickly in terms of the video and the sound, and Pat does a great job. And so does Jim.
Two balls and no strikes. Nick Ahmed made that great play to his left. Two and one the count. 8th place hitter with Robbie Ray on deck. And a ground ball that's tapped foul. Folks around Major League Baseball, we were chatting with some national writers that are here in town, cover the game day to day, and they were talking about Chip Hale. They feel that he'll be in the running for Manager of the Year.
I think what happens the next 6 weeks will certainly kind of impact that. First-year manager, 7 years as a player at the Major League level, multiple years as a coach. He is doing a very nice job with a very good offensive team.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Jaime Garcia. 4-0. Here's Yadier Molina. A double inside the right field line. Picked up an RBI back in the first. How many guys that you faced, Rick, and I guess Tony Gwynn would come to mind, that were able to take a look before they dig in, survey the defense, and literally be able to place the ball at least in an area where they're going for?
Pete Rose could do that quite a bit. Much more left-handed, I think. Didn't see him a lot. Tony Gwynn was very good at that. You almost had a sense that most players had an idea about that at least. I mean, there was at least a conscious thought of, okay, where's the opening on the defensive side? And you wouldn't find as many hitters top to bottom who were home run hitters in a lineup. If you got past number 6 in the lineup, I mean, there were very few second basemen hitting more than 10 home runs, so they had to be that kind of hitter.
How would Gwynn and Rose fare against the shift? Would it really affect them?
I think they'd be hard. You'd be hard pressed to come up with a successful shift that continued to work against them.
3-2 pitch taken inside, leadoff walk. 4th walk issued by Robbie Ray. Playing fantasy baseball, MLB.TV serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players, live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
We'll give you another name, Dan, that most fans might not think of as this kind of player, but Keith Hernandez. I think Keith had terrific bat control. Now, he did have power occasionally, but he really did use all fields and was a very, very smart hitter at the plate.
I think Keith Hernandez has a good shot to go into the Cardinals Hall of Fame.
I agree.
Some great years in St. Louis. Some believe he's one of the best defensive first basemen of all time. Part of the '82 championship team, and that's hit out of play by Piscotty. Our friend Tim McCarver told me that Saturday, Orlando Cepeda will be with us for an inning during the telecast.
Cha-cha. He's so much fun.
Lives in the area, in the San Francisco area.
Ran into him in the offseason in St. Louis. He was at an autograph session, and always cheerful, always delightful to be around. He'd come to a couple early Cardinal fantasy camps, and everybody loves being around Orlando.
You got to get him back for that then. You're the commissioner.
Boy. I just kind of MC. That's all I do. I don't have that kind of pull, Dan.
Fantasy camp, I'm not so sure. Here's a 1-2 to Piscotty. Taken high. Walked his first time up. You are to be commended with the other players and how that is run. So efficient and just. I mean, if you don't come away having fun at that, something's wrong.
Everybody does. We mentioned yesterday it's sold out. You can go to Cardinals.com fantasy camp to get on a waiting list, but I really give the credit to Al Roboski for that. He got it going almost single-handedly.
The fly ball into shallow right center that's caught by A.J. Pollock.
And it's turned into a very fun annual event.
Here's Colton Wong, who picked up a base hit into left field to score a run back in the first inning. Robbie Ray was drafted originally by the Nationals, 12th round in 2010, out of Brentwood High School in Tennessee. It's part of the Doug Fister deal. Took him to Detroit. And he winds up here with the Arizona Diamondbacks, part of the 3-team deal. Didi Gregorius, Shane Green of Detroit. Ray was involved with that, so he's here in Arizona. And the Yankees had quite a wild game tonight, did they not?
Brendan Ryan, a couple of innings pitching, including getting Colby Rasmus out. For Cardinal fans, they would love to have seen that.
And a fly ball that's lifted into shallow left. Ender Enciarte. You talked about it earlier, how the Cardinals are playing so well, but they cannot shake Pittsburgh or Chicago. Cardinals 12-6 in their last 18. Pittsburgh 13-5. A loss tonight, and the Cubs arguably the hottest team in baseball.
Cubs just underway in San Francisco.
Here's Mark Reynolds, ball one.
Pirates finally losing a game, 5-2 to Miami. Steal a base, you draw a throw next time.
Molina stealing third back in the first inning. Third stolen base this year. 1-0 pitch inside. Come to the ballparks around Major League Baseball. There is always something to do, even outside the game. At this ballpark, you can go swimming. The 2-0. Reynolds out in front, yanks it foul. Roof is closed tonight. Very warm night here in Phoenix, Arizona. Got a hot tub out there too.
What do they think of next?
Isn't the game like this is kind of fun to watch, isn't it? The 2-1.
It is for me. Now, I can promise you, Dan, there are baseball marketing people right now thinking of the next generation of kind of multi-platform things to do at ballparks. They got a team on that right now.
Undoubtedly. 5 walks in 3 innings for Robbie Ray. So with 2 on, here is Jaime Garcia. Struck out his first time up with runners at first and second. That's the position he's in right now. You know, we've talked a lot about Tony La Russa being visible in this market with this organization. So is Dave Duncan. His job, not so much with the everyday pitching staff, but certainly traveling around the minor leagues. They say he does a ton of traveling in the summer.
I don't know if you happen to see the list of senior advisors that the Diamondbacks have now. It is quite an impressive list of names. Tony La Russa, of course, is the chief baseball officer, and he's taken over that post after the Diamondbacks lost 98 games a year ago, and they're already a much better team. But you think about some of their front office people. Dave Stewart, of course, the senior vice president, general manager. But they've got Bob Gebhardt, great baseball man, Luis Gonzalez, Randy Johnson. There's about 12 pages of vice presidents in here, and Dave Duncan and Joe Carter are both on that list.
Diamondbacks took some heat with a trade of a former #1 pick. It was a high school player, and it was right after Tony got here a year ago. They traded him this year, and he said, with all due respect, he may be a fine player, this prospect they traded away. However, we need to win now. And I'm looking at college players to draft, and they had the #1 pick. They took the shortstop out of Vanderbilt. But we're looking for more of the, if you will, veteran type players that have experienced college baseball more so than developing a high school player. And he said could be 4 or 5 years until he makes it to the big leagues.
College programs have done such a good job of developing players, especially the major college programs, getting guys more professional baseball ready.
Garcia strikes out. Second time tonight, number 3 this evening for Robbie Ray. Midway through 3, 4-0 Cardinals. The BJC Healthcare difference maker, what the Cardinals have done in terms of their offense and winning games with a lack of offense.
Yeah, there's only 3 teams below the Cardinals in terms of average runs per game, but all the teams on this list have not had a very good winning percentage except the Cardinals. 3.95 runs per game. The pitching clearly the difference for the Cardinals over those other clubs.
The pitcher and then the top of the lineup for Arizona.
Mike Matheny was talking about his pitching today, Dan. And he is definitely a guy that doesn't believe in the regression to the mean theory. The reporters were saying, you know, the starters have been so good, clearly they kind of have to come back. And he said, well, why? He said, I keep preaching to them that there's no reason to think that there's going to be kind of another shoe to drop and you're going to start having lesser production. And, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep your nose down and keep playing the way you play. And he just did not like that thought that there's kind of some leveling out that's going to happen with the starting rotation.
You can understand why it would be questioned, though.
Of course. Well, I mean, the sabermetric way right now is to really believe in the regression to the mean in some ways. But the human factor is if you've got guys that are workers and are into continuous improvement, then why can't they get better? That's what you have to tell yourself anyway.
Here's a 2-2. It's 3 strikeouts in a row for Jaime Garcia. The Cardinals have 2 more games here in Arizona. 3 over the weekend in San Francisco. Never an easy place to play, obviously.
Boy.
And then we'll come home to Washington. First of 3 with the Nationals, and then a day off.
I'll say this much. It's a beautiful place to play.
Love being there.
Oh, boy. Great city. The ballpark's phenomenal.
Atmosphere is phenomenal.
Unfortunately, so is the club and the competition.
Ender Inciarte, flied out to left, first time up. Garcia's allowed 1 base hit. That was Yasmani Tomas to left field back in the 2nd inning. Two and 1. And a ground ball that is tapped foul.
The movement of Garcia produces a lot of balls hit just like this. You hit the top of the baseball, the late dip. If he is top of the knees down, he's really unhittable. The ball thigh high and up is a little straighter.
The 2-2. Skied into center field. Here's Tommy Pham. 2 down. What has been such a frustrating year for the Cardinals in terms of injuries, I think you'd have to add a frustrating year for Marco Gonzalez. We don't really talk about him nearly as much as we did this time last year.
Well, we're not talking as much about Marco Gonzalez as we hope to be talking about Marco Gonzalez. Seeing his kind of rise to kind of a top level prospect, and then the injury unfortunately set him back, and he's not quite who he was a year ago. But then again, last year Michael Wacha had kind of a little bump in the road, wasn't as good as he'd been in 2013, had a bounce back year the following year. You hope for the same for Marco.
Ground ball that's pulled foul. Just imagine if this was the final day of the season and you open up at home, let's say, for the playoffs, if the Cardinals get there. That's a tough choice to figure out your rotation right now.
We started talking about that a week or so ago, and it's so confusing. I'm sure that guy doesn't want to think about it right now. We can have fun with it.
Here's a ground ball that's hit to Carpenter. And he gets the speedy A.J. Pollock.
But how is Garcia not in that mix?
It's a free event. Head to stlouisblues.com to find out more. And that's this Sunday at Ballpark Village. Only in the 4th and the 3rd plate appearance are ready for Matt Carpenter.
You touched on it, Dan, and we did not get a chance to follow up on it. But his at bat in the 1st inning, where he worked the count so deep, I think kind of wore out Robbie Ray. By the end of that inning, he was working on fumes already in that 1st inning. 43 pitches in the 1st, and in some ways fortunate that he only gave up 4 runs, but it was set up by the Carpenter at bat.
2-2. On the verge of walking his 6th batter tonight. And with that, they start hopping and stretching out there in the Diamondbacks bullpen. They had Delgado up already one time. And Carpenter hits that out of play.
The velocity drop has been 96 to 91. And part of that is he's aiming the ball a little bit just to try to get a little more fastball command. All the walks piling up, he can't just rear back and throw it. He's got to find a kind of comfort zone where he can throw more strikes.
3-2. Carpenter checking the bat to see if he may have chipped it, cracked it. It's been an interesting year for Matt Carpenter. Torrid start. Then he missed the 3 games in Pittsburgh with fatigue. Snapped an 0 for 21 last night. 19 home runs for Carpenter. And he's hit by the pitch. We have a moment. I want to pass along our thoughts and prayers to the Kreitis family. Cardinals lost a huge Cardinal fan on Sunday. That's Sue Kreitis. So our thoughts and prayers with their family. Pat, I understand you have a very special guest during this at bat.
Yeah, Tommy Pham's at bat, and I just happen to have his twin sister Brittany here. You made your way down from Las Vegas. A bunch of your family has.
Yeah, we all came out to support, of course.
And your mom's on the way.
She's on the way. Mom, dad, niece.
They'll be here for later tonight, and then, of course, the next 2 games.
Yes, they will. Yep.
You guys must be exceptionally proud. You're talking about your brother who's had a long road to get to the major leagues, but it's finally come true.
Yeah. Oh, we're definitely we're thankful. We thank God every day, and this is what we've been waiting for. So we're super excited.
Sure, you guys never had a doubt that he would make it to the big leagues.
No, we've been here the whole way and just supporting him and making sure he stays on track.
A lot of people don't know that he was actually a pitcher and a shortstop in high school, and he was the top high school player in the state of Nevada.
Oh yeah, high school was his thing. Baseball's always been his thing. So.
Well, he's made it now, overcoming a lot of injuries, including earlier this year, quadriceps injury. Your family background is an interesting one as well.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I'm twin sister. We're Vietnamese and black, and yeah, it's great.
And you're, finally getting to see him realize his dream. But this time, I'm sure you want him to stay up here and continue to contribute.
Oh, yes. We just need him to stay healthy and, get the job done, stay up here.
And it really has been health with him. He's had many, many injuries throughout his professional minor league career.
Yeah, he has. If he can stay healthy, for sure he'll be up here.
Do you ever have him talk to you about perhaps this dream might not come true, or did he ever give in?
Never. He's never gave up. He's always pushed his way through injuries, anything.
Has he had any family superstitions about you can or can't be at the games with him?
No, not really. He was a little skeptical on our shirts today, but, we don't go anywhere without these.
Well, it is a family affair with the Pham family, so it's a nice little tie-in for you.
It is, for sure.
Well, Dan, you can imagine how proud the Pham family is of Tommy Pham as we wait for Mom and Dad and the whole clan to get here and watch the next 2.5 games of baseball. And there's another hit for Tommy Pham. What do you say?
That was great. Hold on 1 second. Okay, he made. Woo! See? We need him to stay up here now.
They always say the hard part's getting here, the harder part is staying up here.
Yes, it is. It is. But, we're thankful. The whole Cardinals organization has been great. And just giving him this chance and opportunity, he won't let them down.
Thank you for joining us, Brittany.
Thank you.
Continued success for you and your brother.
For sure. Thank you so much.
All right, Dan, there you go. His twin sister's here, and he does another little nice thing for the Cardinals as they try to win this one.
Well, base hit into right. Thank you, Pat. Good stuff. Oh, is it a base hit? Yeah. Now, Pat, don't ask the question. Not yet, because he might be going to second. Hold on. Oh, yeah, he's in there. Love seeing that.
Great to have the fam with you at the ballpark.
Oh, you mean the family of Tom? I got, yeah, the fam.
That's it.
Got it. Runners at second and third. Nobody out. That's it for Robbie Ray.
Do I have to explain everything to you?
Top of the fourth, Randall Delgado is our Chevrolet call to the pen, and the infield is drawn in. Johnny Peralta is due up for St. Louis. Been called out on strikes and grounded into a fielder's choice. Tough night for their starter, Robbie Ray. First pitch, a strike. Inning started with Carpenter hit by a pitch. Tommy Pham a base hit. And it's 1-1. Take a look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal here for Randall Delgado.
Been a starter and a reliever. Came up with the Atlanta Braves. Four-seamer, slider, change, sinker, curveball. He had some good seasons with Atlanta. Last couple of seasons with the Diamondbacks. Again, he was supposed to be a starter in this series, but he got pushed out.
And the dirt kept in front by Castillo.
I suggest that we have Pat Parrish go and find family members of every Cardinal player.
Absolutely.
When they're at the plate, if they're going to continue to produce the way Tommy Pham just did.
Pham is on base for the third time tonight. The 2-1. Pulled foul. Chicago now leading 5-0 in the top of the fourth against San Francisco. Outfield is deep. They're straight away. 2 balls, 2 strikes on the Cardinals shortstop. Two is hit out to deep center field. Pollock going back. He'll make the catch. Both runners will tag up. A run scores to make it 5-0 Cardinals. RBI number 57 for Johnny Peralta.
Such a good at bat for Peralta. Not able to extend his hitting streak. He's hitting 7 straight, but he gets the RBI by lofting that ball and smoking it actually into center field. That is situational hitting. Guy on third base, nobody out, get the ball into the outfield, and he got it done. Not only the run, but Pham to third.
Infield in again for Jason Hayward now as 2 RBIs. A stolen base, 1 for 2. And the first pitch is taken for a ball. As Tommy's sister was saying, he's such a good athlete. And that means he can run. He's got good speed. We've seen that in this series. 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Molina on deck.
Jason seems so much more comfortable to me than he did the first month of the season. We talked about it being tied up sometimes and kind of being a little slow with the start, maybe a little stiff at the plate, but his approach seems very, very good right now.
And that is a foul ball. Catcher's interference is the call. Home plate umpire Chad Fairchild gets Castillo for catcher's interference. 3 huge Cardinal fans are here in Arizona with us. Dylan Wolf, Gavin Wolf, Dad Adam, they're all here and cheering on the Cardinals, their favorite team. See Hayward right away pointing back at Wellington Castillo.
That catcher's interference call is going to happen with guys that have a big, long, sweeping swing. Catchers will try to reach out and get it. And Castillo certainly felt that hit his glove. Hayward pointed it out, and the umpire, Fairchild, right on that call.
So runners at the corners for Yadier Molina. Molina, a double and an RBI back in the first inning, and he walked in the third. The corners are in for the Diamondbacks. You know, Molina is a clutch player. You do get concerned about the potential of a double play. We'll see how it plays out.
We have good speed at third and Pham. Good speed at first and Hayward. Chris Maloney, the verbal sign.
Goldschmidt will give it a look. That's out of play.
So the situational hitting really has not changed from Peralta to Molina. The idea is to get the ball into the outfield. Drive in Pham somehow. Worst thing is a double play. Molina's so good at picking up RBIs.
It's number 52 earlier tonight, and a 1-1 pitch. Instead, a check on Jason Hayward.
Really not a lot of downside to running Hayward. I think Arizona would have to be very careful about the throw down to second base. They're not really a well-oiled machine when it comes to stopping the stolen base, as we've seen tonight. Why not go?
Here's a 1-1. Now with the count at 2 balls, 1 strike.
Hitters count.
May think about doing it here. Hit the other way, and Hayward was running.
He was running, but he was fooled by the quick pitch of Delgado and got a slow jump. So fortunately, Molina fouled that ball off, or Hayward would have been out by about 20 feet. There's Hayward, and the pitch is already going home, and he looks in as you're supposed to with a hit and run, but he knew he was done for. And the quick pitch of Delgado, great way to negate the hit and run.
The 2-2 in the dirt. Three and 2. Let's see if they want to start Hayward here. Hayward is leaning towards second base. There he goes on the 3-2, and that's hit out to center field. The catch is made. Pham will tag up. Hayward has to retrace his steps as he circled second base. He does so. It's an RBI for Molina, his second tonight. And the Cardinals add another. It's 6-0 St. Louis.
Again, the Cardinals doing a lot of things right in this game, according to what the situation calls for. Molina getting that fly ball deep into the outfield. Second sacrifice fly of the inning. Pham. Molina drives him in. And as you mentioned, Jason Hayward retracing his steps to retouch the second base bag because he was running on the pitch and was on his way past second base in case that ball would have dropped.
Here's the 0-1.
So it was 3-2, and Hayward was moving on the pitch, and the ball was smoked by Molina. So he's thinking that ball may get down, and I'm going to score if it does. So he touches the bag. You have to retouch the bag on the way back. Plenty of time to get back to first base. Good base running.
The 1-1. Piscotty has walked and also flied out to center. Kyle Schwarber, another home run tonight for the Chicago Cubs. 12 home runs in his first 42 games. 6-0 now. The Cubbies with the lead. And a 2-1. Piscotty hits it sharply to third. Taken there by Hill. The throw to first, and they get him. Tremendous play by Aaron Hill. Cardinals add to their lead, 6-0 St. Louis. So now it's a 6-run lead for Jaime Garcia. Here's Paul Goldschmidt. Big sweeping breaking ball drops in for strike one. Garcia has been sharp tonight. He has struck out 3 of the last 5 he's seen. 3 total in the game. He's allowed just 1 base hit, 1 walk. That was Goldschmidt back in the first. We saw the offense come alive in the final game against San Diego, and that has carried over to this Arizona series. The 1-1. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
The things that strikes you about Goldschmidt is his size. And you also think about the size of the bat that he uses, the bat head. He generates bat speed with that big a bat. It's going to produce some long balls, and certainly very capable of going deep at any part in the ballpark. He's not just a power hitter, he's just a good hitter.
The 1-2. That's driven opposite way. Hayward will look up, and it is stuck in the wall. It sticks in the wall in right. I have never seen that.
I've never seen it either. Well, you wonder whether a guy's got any power the other way. I guess this is a pretty good demonstration of that power when you hit a ball the other way and it sticks in the wall, for goodness sakes. There's the pitch up. There's the swing. That's pretty funny.
We're told it has happened one other time here in Arizona. So that one sticks in the wall. It's a double. Have you ever seen that before?
Never. I'm sure there's a page in the rule book that says something about if the ball happens to stick in the wall, it's a ground rule double.
What was odd over the weekend in San Diego was a ball that was fair, hit down the third base line, hit the ball girl, then hit the security guard, and we later found out they are in play.
Just like an umpire would be who's behind an infielder. Umpire happens to get hit who's standing behind an infielder. He's in play. Not a dead ball.
Here's a 1-1 to Castillo. That gets away from Molina.
Now, if the ball boy or ball girl does it intentionally, it's a dead ball. And I guess if the wall were to do that intentionally, it would be a dead ball as well.
Two balls, one strike. Castillo fly to deep center, first time up. 2-2. That ball is dancing tonight out of the hand of Jaime Garcia. So the count runs full. Carpenter is near the line at third. Three-two pitch. And that swung on and missed. Strikeout number 4 tonight for Jaime Garcia.
Third baseman, Aaron
You always hear the term swing and miss stuff. Garcia has that.
He's got it, no
that
doubt.
Gives him a chance to get out of an inning like this.
He's also got swing and hit it into the ground stuff, which is just as good.
Aaron Hill grounded out to short first time up. Diamondbacks with 2 hits tonight and a 1-0 pitch. Fouled back in a good cut. 1 ball, 1 strike. Garcia had 61 pitches this evening. So we've seen catcher's interference tonight. We've seen a ball stuck in the wall.
What's next?
Out to center field. Catch made by Tommy Pham. Goldschmidt will tag up, and Arizona gets on the board at 6-1. RBI number 33 for Aaron Hill. Brings in Yasmani Tomas. Tomas had a base hit to left back in the second inning, the first hit of the night for Arizona. His contract was for 6 years, $68.5 million. $14 million signing bonus, $36 million of that deal over the first 4 years. And by the way, he can opt out after 4 years and become a free agent. It gives you an idea that the Diamondbacks and Tony La Russa loved what they saw in a tryout, signed him to this big deal. So 2 outs and nobody on, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Miami a winner today over Pittsburgh 5-2. Chance to pick up a game for the Cardinals even further in front in the Central. The Dodgers, they win tonight. They beat Cincinnati by the final of 5-1. They had lost 5 straight. The Mets win again. They beat the Phillies 6-5. Driven out to center, but there's Tommy Pham again. 2 hard hit balls right at Tommy Pham. Arizona gets on the board. 6-1 St. Louis. forward to the postgame show, guys. Thank you. Here's Colton Wong. Top of 5 rolls in. Cardinals have a lead of 6-1. Wong, the RBI number 49 back in the first. He singled to left. He's also flied out to left, 1 for 2.
There's an interesting rule on the catcher's interference that we need to talk about here as that ball's hit into center field.
Wong is thinking too, flying out of the batter's box, diving in head first with a double. He's 2 for 3 tonight.
Nice to see. We were hoping he'd get a couple of hits today. Just the Cardinal that needs him. Hits that ball hard up the middle. And he sees it. It's going towards the gap, so he takes 2 on the hard slide. So rule 6.08 for catcher's interference, Dan. The batter is entitled to first base without liability if the catcher interferes with it. Catcher's interference. Now, if the play follows the interference, the manager of the offensive team can advise the home plate umpire that he elects to take the play instead of the interference. So if Hayward would have continued to run to first base, Pham scored, they could have declined the interference and taken the result of the ground ball he hit to the right side of the infield.
Interesting.
Be interesting to look at that play again to see what everybody did on that play. I know Pham scored, and I'm pretty sure Hayward stopped. But if Rule 6.8 is in play there, that would have been an interesting twist.
And that is ruled an error, by the way, on Castillo. One ball, 1 strike. Mark Reynolds 0 for 1 tonight with a walk. Go ahead and explain that again.
The simple version is catcher's interference happens. You hit the ball fair. You get a base hit. You can take the base hit. And the runners can advance. You can elect not to accept the catcher's interference. And an umpire has to allow the play to continue until the ball is dead. And then it's up to the manager's discretion whether to take the play or not.
And a breaking ball that's taken low and outside.
That is from the Official Baseball Rules 2015 edition. Sounds pretty official to me.
You are all over it. Reynolds with a fly ball out to left. Inciarte comes in, makes the catch.
So there's Pham, the runner at third. There's Hayward, who hits the ball to the right side. Pham's going to go ahead and score. Now, it's a fair ball, and if Hayward would just kind of continue to run and they don't put him out, if he keeps going right now and touches first base, the umpire is actually mistaken in calling catcher's interference too soon on a fair ball.
Thank goodness it's 6-1 and not 2-1.
It's a moot point, but an interesting part of the rule.
Yeah, you could see the home plate umpire immediately throw the hands up after Hayward turned around and pointed to the catcher and called the play dead. So it does not go down as a official at bat then for Hayward. So 1 out. Runner at second is Colton Wong. And a 6-1 St. Louis lead. Jaime Garcia is 0 for 2 tonight. Couple of strikeouts. Delgado came into the game in the 4th inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out.
Similar play would happen, Dan, if a balk is called, if he quick pitches home and Garcia hits a gapper. It's not a dead ball. You play the ball if you want to.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I have. Happened at Busch Stadium years ago.
I did know that rule. The interference, I did not.
Well, I didn't know it till about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. Jaime hits it out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. And that swung on and missed. So Delgado gets his first strikeout.
Third baseman, Matt Carpenter.
Carpenter hits for the 4th time. He has scored 2 runs tonight. First pitch is a strike. 8-pitch at bat against Robbie Ray to start the night. Came around to score, part of a 4-run first for the Cardinals. He has grounded out and also was hit by a pitch in the 4th. Two outs. Juan the runner at second base. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Nice to see the Cardinals offense producing the way they have tonight, last night, last game in San Diego.
One and two. Two balls, 2 strikes on Matt Carpenter. Two outs. Wong the runner at second base. 3 and 2. I think you'd have to say, Rick, it's not a really a crisp pace to this game tonight.
No, it sure isn't. But when you look on the board, you see 6-1 Cardinals. You see a 4-run first, a 2-run fourth. At least in a game that's not crisp, you've got the advantage. Colton Wong with a couple of hits in this game. You've got Jaime Garcia pitching well. You've just got a Diamondback team that has had to deal with the fact that their pitchers do not have very good command here tonight.
Carpenter a swing and a miss, and he strikes out. Midway through 5. 6-1 St. Louis.
Love to look at that video, Dan. Front door was closed. He just kind of snuck in the backside, didn't he?
He sure did. It's an interesting play that we were talking about with the interference. So to get even more technical, if you will, as Garcia is pitching into the bottom of the 5th inning here. Here's Chris Owings. It's called a delayed dead ball situation. The umpire is supposed to wait for the result of the play, then call it. And how he does it is this. Extends his arm parallel to the ground, clenched fist, signaling delay dead ball, but not calling anything until the play is completed. Pham has been busy tonight.
Folks are asking on Twitter if Jason Hayward's stopping affects whether or not it's still a dead ball or not. And the answer is no. It's up to the manager to determine whether to take the play or not. And I think that they would not take the run and they would allow Hayward to be a base runner and Pham, considering there was just one out at the time. But Mike Matheny could have decided to take the out if indeed Hayward would have been put out at first base and allow Pham to score. So Pham did the right thing, may have been the only person on the field doing the right thing.
Here's Nick Ahmed. Jared Saltalamacchia has moved to the on-deck circle. He would pinch hit for Delgado. That's off the end of the bat. Quickly, 2 strikes. Thank goodness you bring your rule book.
For such a time as this.
Unfortunately, when we play golf, those rules apparently don't apply to you off the golf rule book.
Well, I just don't bring the book with me.
The foot wedge, no. It's not part of it.
I kicked one from out from under a cactus today.
Pham puts it away. So Saltalamacchia will be the pinch hitter with 2 outs, nobody on. Friday, September 4th. 25,000 fans, ages 16 and older, receive a replica 1967 World Series championship ring. It is a detachable ring off the base, and that's September 4th, Cards and Pirates. Unfortunately, I do not adhere to many of those rules in that book either. My foot wedge is the best wedge I got.
Well, Dan, I'm not going to kind of confuse your brain even more, but what we saw in San Diego is actually on the following page of the rule book, and it's Rule 6.01, and it talks about unintentional interference, which is what happened in San Diego with the security guard and the ball girl down the left field line.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ironically enough, we have Jim Joyce, the crew chief, here tonight. You may recall in the World Series of 2013, he may have been the only guy in the stadium that knew the Alan Craig play with what happened at third base and eventually scoring the run. He called it immediately, and he was right on it, and it was the correct call.
He called it right. He was right on it. And by looking at that play, there's nobody on either team or fans or anybody that watched that thought he really got that right. It just didn't look right to the eye test, but it certainly was the correct call according to the rules, and Craig scored.
5 strikeouts tonight for Jaime Garcia. 6-1 St. Louis. Addison Reed is the new pitcher in for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 37th appearance. Tommy Pham has been on base 3 times tonight. Pair of hits, a walk, 2 runs scored.
I think what's been impressive about what the Cardinals have done the last 2 days here in Arizona, when we showed up here, this team was flying high. And it doesn't mean they can't come back in this game or in this series, but the newspaper here was talking about over 500. The Dodgers had been losing game after game, that maybe there was a chance. And I mean, it was pennant fever, or at least wild card fever, something going on here in Arizona. They thought that perhaps it was the beginning of something big. They'd won a 4-game series against the Reds in Cincinnati. And the Cardinals have just outplayed them so far.
Here's a 1-1. It's Pham, Peralta, and Hayward. Arizona began last night, as you mentioned, Rick, coming off the sweep of Cincinnati and 5 games back with a Dodgers team that's been struggling. Now, LA does post a victory tonight. And that shot into the gap in right center. And Pham is off to the races, all the way to the wall. Look at Tommy Pham. He is flying around the bases. Stand-up triple. On base for the 4th time tonight. You said in the first you like how he goes to right field. We're seeing that tonight.
Well, he's done it 3 times, that one with authority. And the Pham family smiles their approval, driving this ball the other way. And as you said, right about there, he just put on the afterburners, flying around second base with a stand-up triple. Fun to watch.
Here is Peralta. Every time that Peralta is hit tonight, there have been men on base. And he's 4 for 6 against this right-hander. Diamondbacks bring the infield in. The 1-0. Broken bat and a base hit into center. 7-1 Cardinals. Second RBI for Peralta. He's up to 58.
And extends his hitting streak to 8 games. Hit number 133 for Johnny Peralta. He leads the Cardinals in that department. Didn't get a lot of this, but he got enough. Fisting it into center field.
And now it's Hayward. Nobody out, runner at first. The shift is on, and Hayward bounces it to the right side. He'll get the lead man, and Jason is safe at first.
Catcher Yadier Molina.
So 2 RBIs tonight for Johnny Peralta. 7-1 Cardinals. Top of the lineup has done some damage. Here's Molina. He has a couple of ribbies as well. A double down the right field line. He has walked. A sac fly RBI back in the 4th.
Always a tricky thing to figure out, but is this a time to maybe give Molina some time off after this at bat? Send Tony Cruz out, perhaps?
You're going to have to try to buy some innings, if you will, here or there. And I think you're right. If you're planning on starting him tomorrow, this might be the right time to do it.
Left fielder Stephen Piscotty.
Some conversations going on with Matt Carpenter actually involved in that conversation. Mike's thinking about kind of the right time to do that. You're in the 6th inning of a game. The game's still in question. You don't want to kind of pull everybody too soon. But if the game breaks open right here, Piscotty does something with 2 outs, maybe you think about it.
Man, the Cardinal left fielder tonight has walked, flied to center, grounded out to 3rd. Hayward is your runner at second base. That's pop foul out of play.
And you saw who was putting on the catcher's equipment behind Mike Matheny in that last picture. So Yadi certainly wants to go back out there again. He's not wasting any time getting ready.
It's one of those situations when you talk to the Cardinals about Yadier Molina, the first thing they mention is what he means, and it's not something that everybody doesn't know, but it's about his defense and the way that he handles a game. There's a base hit for Stephen Piscotty. Here comes Hayward. And the throw is cut off. Jason Hayward scoring the 8th run for St. Louis tonight. Stephen Piscotty, RBI number 20.
Second base.
Another good at-bat for Piscotty. He's had plenty of them. That's a slider. Turns on it. Hayward runs the bases well. No problem scoring from second.
Colton Wong, a 2-hit night. The double by Wong was a line drive into right center, and you could see the ball on this grass, this infield, really skip.
Talking to Pete Cosmo about that before the game today, and he said it certainly does here as well as in San Diego. And he thinks it's a great advantage for hitters. The ball scoots through the infield. It's a very fast infield here. Talking about infields are different. Some are slower infield, some are quick. But he believes the infield is so quick in San Diego, it's actually more of a hitter's park than people think it is.
It's an interesting way to look at it, because so many times when you say hitter's park,
you think home runs, you think distance,
think wind blowing out.
And talking with Pete, we talked about it when it happened, but Piscotty hit a ball to the right side of the infield and hit it hard in San Diego. Second baseman Jerko dove for it, and it went all the way to the wall.
Wong with a fly ball out to left field. Cardinals tack on 2 more, and they lead this ball game 8-1.
And speaking of Carpenter, he will take the rest of this game off. Pete Cosmo will take over at third base, as Mike Matheny giving some rest to Carpenter, and you wonder if Yadi Molina might be next.
Well done, Rick.
Thank you, Dan. Missed you.
This is just the 12th time this season the Cardinals have scored 7 or more runs in a game. By comparison, the Diamondbacks have done it 25 times. And the pitching continues to roll on for the Cardinals. Last night, the 83rd time holding their opponent to 3 or fewer runs.
It's an old adage in baseball, isn't it? That good pitching beats good hitting. And the Diamondbacks are a run-scoring machine, leading the National League. The Cardinals are 10th. But it's the pitching of the Cardinals that's made the difference this season and this series so far.
Here's a 1-1. I guess of concern right now when you're leading 8-1, there's not a lot to be worried about, but Carpenter not in this game. Remember, he dealt with the eye issue first at bat. We saw him talking to the trainer.
I was hoping it was just a rest situation, but now you got me worried. Certainly a good question.
One ball and 2 strikes. Ender Inciarte, the 2-2. It's sharply to short. Nice play, Peralta. Johnny Peralta with 4 errors this year. The Cardinals of 2015. These are the last 5 teams that had 5 starters with an ERA that's below 3. 44 Cardinals on that list. Houston 1981, strike short year. The A's in 72 and the Mets in 1968. Here's A.J. Pollock. Little chopper taken there by Wong, and the stretch safe at first.
Colton Wong's not able to get Pollock because he can fly, but I like the fact that Colton was smooth as silk on that play. Did everything right, got a strong throw off, and you know, you look for building blocks for Colton as he's trying to kind of get out of the funk that he's been in. A 2-for-4 night so far, and there's a smooth play and a good strong throw right on the money, and he made it closer than it should have been.
Goldschmidt tonight has walked, doubled, and scored. His double, the ball literally stuck in the wall and right.
No,
what are you looking at?
No, I'm not looking that up in the rule book. You gave me that. Okay, let's go. Look, and I'm not doing it.
You're not going there.
Well, let me see.
One and one to count. A couple of years ago, Goldschmidt was in the running for the MVP, and that'll be the case again this year, especially if Arizona can somehow stay in the race. You know, the Diamondbacks last couple of years just have not been a factor, and because of that, you don't hear a lot about Paul Goldschmidt. Playing on the West Coast, many of the games in their division late at night. But as we've talked about, man, is he some kind of player?
Such an unfair thing, I think, in baseball when a great player happens to be on a team that doesn't win. I don't think you can kind of put a whole team on your shoulder like you might be able to do in other sports and just kind of make it happen by yourself. It's too easy to pitch around you. Pitch to somebody else. You're only going to get up to the plate 4 times a game. You're not really going to single-handedly affect the outcome. You need help. So unfortunate that some of our game's greatest stars didn't get to play on winners. Think about Ernie Banks, Rod Carew played a lot of years without winning. It's just unfortunate.
How do you define the MVP as well? That's, you know, something you got to think about too. Is he the MVP because he's the best player in the league no matter the record of his team, or some say, well, you're an MVP because of what you did for your team?
Well, that is certainly open for debate, and I typically disagree with the people who matter on that, which are the baseball writers. It's their award, and they believe it's essentially, although it's not written that way, but they tend to evaluate it to be the guy who's the best player on one of the best teams.
Oh, 2 pitch. Ground ball that's pulled foul. You know, something else to think about with Matt Carpenter. Just thinking out loud here and wondering about him, but he was hit by a pitch in the 4th inning too. Maybe just get him out of there with an 8-1 lead.
Ice it, move on.
Get the treatment going.
Makes sense.
But with Jaime, you do get a lot of ground balls. You'd love one right here. Wellington Castillo at the plate. The 0-2 pitch. And it's fouled back. Get the feeling this would be Garcia's final inning of work. He's at 91 pitches tonight.
Been a very solid 91 pitches for Jaime. Could be another way of looking at Yadier Molina, and when you get him some rest, is let him at least finish with Garcia. And maybe when the reliever comes in, you might consider using Tony Cruz there. Again, not that Yadi can't do it. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing today. You just think about the number of innings he puts in. It's incredible.
And the 1-2 pitch. Ground ball pulled foul. Garcia struck out 5 this evening. He's allowed 4 base hits. Cardinals about hit the Diamondbacks 9-4. Strikeout number 6. Second time that he's gotten Castillo.
Pulls the string on this delivery. This is a changeup. Castillo thinks it's a fastball way out in front. Good location. Here's where you just want to finish strong.
He's got Aaron Hill, who has the lone RBI for the Diamondbacks tonight.
Pitches by inning for Garcia. Been pretty solid. Had a nice easy 5th inning where he got the bottom of the order 1, 2, 3.
And a ground ball that's hit too short. Flip to second. Stretch by Wong just to make sure. We head to the 7th. So Reynolds will lead it off for the Cardinals here in the top half of the 7th. St. Louis leading 8-1.
Matt Reynolds facing Mark Reynolds.
Tell you what, you are on it tonight. There's not a lot getting by you. This is a Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We can't get any of the rules past you.
Nope.
And Reynolds against Reynolds.
Not sure they're on par, but
you're on it. So Chevy call to the pen.
Reynolds, the pitcher, has faced quite a bit of adversity as far as injury is concerned. He's very happy to be back in this bullpen with Arizona. One of 2 lefties.
Goldschmidt, nice play. He just put his head down to the general area that he thought that that ball may drop, and then looked up, made the play. That's a good play. He also, the thing I really liked about ending of the 6th inning, he made that play close at second base, running from first to second with his hustle. You commend players like that.
Talk to Cardinal players about him, and they admire him tremendously. Again, Pete Kozma talking about him specifically today, and just how hard he works. Doesn't take a play off.
Peter Borges out to deep left, and it is gone. Peter Borges, pinch hit home run. That makes it 9-1 St. Louis.
How good that must feel for Peter Borges. We talked about Colton Wong struggling. Borges had been 0 for his last 20. And not a lot of at-bats for Peter either, so not a lot of chances to get off of that bad streak. Good for him.
And here is Pete Kozma with a fly ball into right. Thanks to Peter Borges. He just helped the Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Pham, a slow roller, left side, tough play, and he is out at first. So Peter Borges adds to the Cardinal lead. It's 9-1. Nine to 1 at St. Louis. I still can't get used to seeing Tony La Russa with the Arizona Diamondbacks logo there on the front of the chest.
So odd, isn't it?
It is.
Although there's probably people in Oakland that never got used to him having the birds on the bat on his chest either. Or Chicago before that.
Yasmani Tomas hits a fly ball into center. There's Borges. One away. So Seth Maness in relief of Jaime Garcia. Appearance number 60. And it's our Chevy called to the pen.
Nice job for Garcia. 6 innings, just 4 hits. Another nice start for Garcia. Quality start. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. The ERA down to 1.77.
Hope that our fans back home in St. Louis are still with us. And I'll extend that further to Rick here in the booth. I hope you're still with us.
I'm right here.
Okay.
I'm
it
good.
is 9-1. I know the pace has probably not been to your liking, but just want to make sure you're still here.
It's also only 9:15 here out on the West Coast.
You're a little tired.
Well,
should I go grab you a coffee, or you
no,
gonna make it?
I'm just going to stop reading the rule book. That kind of makes me tired. Now I know if anybody has insomnia, I recommend the 2015 edition of the official baseball rules.
What page are you on now?
I'm on page 65.
And you're learning what?
I was just past the unintentional interference page.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, the plot really thickens here.
Oh, it's great.
A little slow in character development.
I'm in the middle of a great book on Branch Rickey. This is probably the 3rd or 4th book I have read on him. What an interesting character he was. And the original founder, correct me if I'm wrong, of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
He was, very much so.
Of which you run in St. Louis.
Coach Don McClannon went to Branch Rickey, who was the general manager at the time of the Pittsburgh Pirates at that time, but known for his work with the Cardinals and the Dodgers as well, and kind of pitched him the idea, and Branch Rickey said he'd give him 5 minutes to talk about FCA and what it could do for our young people in our country, and the 5 minutes turned into 3 hours. And he was sold on the idea and was one of the original founders.
NL Central standings presented by DirecTV. So the Cardinals currently with a 4-game lead, could be 4.5 once the night is through. Chicago leading 8-1. That's in the 7th inning over San Francisco. Branch Rickey, I mean, the things that he did.
Oh yeah.
to change the game of baseball and farm systems and player development. The obvious thing is Jackie Robinson, but many unique things that he did in the game.
He was a tough manager, general manager, and he was not
tough on the budget,
kind of
too.
An easy guy to get along with as far as the budget was concerned. Certainly a good businessman. But he cared about character. He cared about the character of Jackie Robinson. That was a big part of why he signed Jackie Robinson. And you can't really underestimate Branch Rickey's input into this game. Of course, Jackie Robinson did the hard part. But even instilling the traditions that the Dodgers have and the traditions that the Cardinals have, and Branch Rickey had a chance to put his imprint in both organizations. So you talk about the Cardinal way and the Dodger mystique. I mean, he's part of both of those.
Impact is felt today. Red Schoendienst in Branch Rickey. Red tells some great stories about Branch. Matter of fact, one of them was he had a terrible day, and Red thought he was going to be released. And Branch Rickey said, "What's your problem?" "Mr. Rickey, I'm not sure. Had a tough day." He said, "Forget about it. You're not going anywhere. Come back tomorrow." I mean, just think about, we still talk about Branch Rickey today.
I like the Mr. Rickey. In fact, I'm going to suggest maybe that's what you ought to call me.
I got some other names in mind. All right, thank you, Jimmy. Looking forward to the postgame show. Here is Johnny Peralta. Now, Jim is such a gamer. He'll be back up and at him early in the morning with that award-winning radio show he's a part of. After a late night in the studio. Mazda game summary, 9-1. Cardinals have the lead over Arizona. Garcia, a chance to pick up the win. Tommy Pham, a big night. There's a base hit for Johnny Peralta.
Pitch up and away. Peralta able to get his arms extended, drive that ball, and you think about getting a hit, Dan, in the 8th inning of a game where it's already 9-1. Getting hits at times like this is the difference between being a high 200 hitter and a 250 hitter. Just don't give away at bats. Nice to see Johnny working all the way to the end, and he'll get the rest of the night off.
So Seth Maness will hit for himself, and there's Garcia. Paul Goldschmidt taken out of the game. And Tony Cruz is moved to the on-deck circle as Maness strikes out. So Cruz pinch hitting for Yadier Molina.
Cardinals will have John Lackey and Carlos Martinez in the final 2 games of this series, and again hoping to go into that with a 2-0 lead in this series. And when they head to San Francisco, it's Waka, Lynn, and Jaime Garcia for the final game of this road trip. So it started out, Dan, as a rough road trip for the Cardinals, dropping the first 2 in San Diego against a team that had been struggling offensively. Cardinals took that last game, and they're close to taking the first 2 here in Phoenix.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Hit to first and out at second base. The neighborhood play too.
Well, we were talking about it the last couple of days, and what Andy Green had said, the third base coach for the Diamondbacks, and he had been in the paper very vocally talking about, look, we don't want any more scrutiny about the neighborhood play because we don't want middle infielders getting hurt. So a bit of a conversation today with Oquendo and some Cardinal players. There's Andy, and I think he's got a very important and good point. And Oquendo's answer to that is he's okay if they make the neighborhood play. You've got to be on the bag and call it the way it really is, but make it illegal to slide through the base. Make it illegal to slide outside the base. You've got to go right to the base and not through it. And that way, if infielders are hanging on the bag longer, they're less at risk of getting hurt. Thought it was an interesting solution from Jose. Of course, Andy Green, Jose Oquendo, and I, none of us are on the rules committee, so it's kind of a moot point, but something to think about.
1-2 to Piscotty and a strikeout. We head to the bottom of the 8th, and it's all Cardinals tonight. 9-1. Nissan.com drive of the game with his dad in the stands. His dad, Chris, is a scout for the Padres. The proud papa.
That's a nice moment. Good to have him here. That's great.
And Rick is going to tell you about all the changes.
We've got people everywhere. I know Garcia's at short, if that helps you. And nice to see Greg Garcia playing shortstop. We were a little concerned before the game whether he would be able to play defensively after kind of getting hurt sliding into third last night.
Oh, what a play here. Colton Wong and Reynolds can't make the pick. So David Peralta is aboard, the pinch hitter, to start the bottom of the 8th.
Good range for Wong. And Peralta runs well, so he had to get rid of it quickly and just that close.
Come your way tomorrow at 8 with Lackey and Corbin. Game 3 of this 4-game series. 1 ball, 1 strike on Ender Inciarte. Joe Garagiola will be with us tomorrow.
Oh, looking forward to that. Never a dull moment with him.
No, sir. The 2-1 pitch is fouled back.
Looks like we'll see Cishek in the 9th inning, or perhaps before, depending upon how things go for Seth Maness here. Cardinals had to determine what to do in that last game in San Diego with their bullpen. Who do you pitch when you've got a big lead? Really isn't something that we've seen a lot this year. You talked about the number of times the Cardinals have scored 7 or more runs. It's not that many times. So the blowout games, how to kind of manage your bullpen during that situation, something Mike Matheny has not had to worry about much this year. But you want to make the right choice to set up for tomorrow. Dan, how would you assess the season of Seth Maness thus far?
It's a good question. There's a base hit into right. You know, the numbers in terms of opponent's average isn't great.
Correct.
However, he's the one guy you do rely on to get you that ground ball and a double play in a key spot. He's also a guy that will throw strikes.
Correct.
So late in games, you know, he's not going to walk many.
Only 10 walks all season long for Seth Maness. You're right, the hit total is high.
I wonder if he was given a little bit more rest, would we see a different result? They rely on him so much, and I understand why, and you want to go back to him for various reasons that we just mentioned. So to answer the question, yeah, it's been a good year for Seth.
Had some hard times and some bad moments, but he's had some good ones too. Yeah, I would agree. Kind of a mixed bag, perhaps. Yeah. But I'm, I've never agreed with the theory that if you're a sinker ball pitcher, you're better off pitching tighter.
Yeah,
I've never agreed with that. And now that may be true of some guys, but it wasn't true of people I knew. Let's put it that way. Who threw sinkers, and it's kind of an old school way of thinking about it. And I think Seth Maness wants to pitch, and he wants to compete. He wants to get out there, but times you maybe have to just pull him back a little bit. He's going to say he's ready all the time. He may be ready, but he may not be A+ ready.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
With a little bit more rest, you may see him sharper.
When he's not sharp, he's up in the zone, and the sinker is flat.
I think the last couple of weeks we have seen him get hit harder than we did at the beginning of the year. And maybe it's because he's been used a lot. You know, and we talk about it too. He's a guy that gets up, it seems like, almost every night too, whether or not he comes in the game. They're getting him for that potential one at bat and the double play. So he's throwing all the time. But as you get into postseason play, if the Cardinals get there, and Cishek is emerging now more as a weapon late innings.
Yes.
You know, Maness maybe then turns into the specialist to get that ground ball and that double play like this. Middle innings.
That's what you like from Seth Maness.
2 scoreless from Seth tonight. Be Jim Edmonds and Jim Hayes on the postgame show. And we move to the 9th inning. Brad Ziegler, Chevy Cole to the pen. Appearance number 54 for the Sidewinder.
Been a solid year for Ziegler. Not really an overpowering guy. Interesting delivery. But he has picked up 23 saves out of the D-backs bullpen and needs some work, and he's got the 9th.
Did you ever mess around throwing like this? Thinking, okay, I got to try to find different ways to get hitters out?
I tried it. Everybody tries it at the end.
Brad pitched at Missouri State. Drafted by the A's originally, 31st round back in 2002. But then returned to Missouri State for senior year. Phillies drafted him.
First baseman, Mark Reynolds.
First pitched in the big leagues back in 2008 with Oakland. Then back in 2011, he was traded here to Arizona.
Something about guys that throw from down there too. Pat Neshek, we know, is a big card collector. Well, so is Brad Ziegler.
You know, sometimes you hear about pro athletes and they say, I'm sick of signing autographs, don't like to do it. Pat Neshek used to encourage it. That's how his passion began. He told me that when he was growing up, he and buddies would wait outside of team hotels, which we see time and again, or at the ballpark. They get there early and wait for players to show up and ask for autographs. And he said, if I ever made it, I'm going to make sure and sign. And he's done that.
We're not sure what Tony La Russa was doing when we got a shot at him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't answering his fan mail.
He used to do that constantly. He could walk in his office and have a conversation about the game that night, or maybe a decision from the night before, and he'd have his head down and maybe it'd be an old card or somebody asking him to sign, and he signed everything. Here's Peter Borges, who is homered tonight.
Tony certainly had his peculiar things that we grew to love over time, but never a dull moment. Tony TV on the post-game shows was
must-see TV.
You better believe it.
Chopped to short, tough to turn two with Borges running. Boy, he gets down the line. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated at the express written consent of the Cardinals. So you're Chris Borges, you're a scout for the Padres, and you got to write up a report on your son. Maybe you avoid that one.
Runs well, hits home runs. Simple as that.
Here's Cosma. They'll play behind Peter Borges with a 9-1 lead for St. Louis. What you'd love to see in those moments we saw with Peter Borges, how his teammates get so into it when a player that's not playing much, I don't care who you are at this level, you're a great player. You make it to the big leagues. And to see the reaction on his home run, or Pete Cosma gets a base hit, they pull for each other in what has been obviously a long year, and guys putting in the work.
Well, it's one of the things that you bristle at when you're around these guys who are major league players, and you hear people say, well, he can't play, or this guy's no good, or this guy. I mean, you're really talking about a difference between maybe he's not as good a player as the very best hitter in the world, or the very best shortstop, or the very best left-handed reliever, but they're still one of the top 100 or so people to do their job in the world. And that's an important thing to remember. They may not be number one, but if you're in the top 100, that's pretty good.
Three and two the count, so Borges off with the pitch. 2 outs here in the top of the ninth.
And the game of baseball is full of so many mistakes. There are nights where it doesn't look like you're in the top 100, doesn't feel like you're in the top 100, but they are.
Tom Mee, our director tonight. Mike Kelly, our producer. Keith O'Brien, his top assistant. Keith Oberman with him. Brian McCann. And it's a walk to Cosma.
Left fielder Tommy Pham.
Tommy Pham has had a nice night. 3 for 4. Triple, walk, 3 runs scored. Slowly hit, and Pham is out at first. What a play that was.
Terrific play. Wow. Doesn't seem fair.
Steve Cishek is into the game. Or Chevy called to the pen, appearance number 44.
We like the progression that he is making in this Cardinals bullpen. This clearly is not a high leverage situation for Cishek, but we see him kind of gaining the respect of his manager to be used in those type games. I think his command is, I think, much improved. We saw him when he was nasty with the Marlins, so we know he's capable of that as a closer and really tough to hit with his arm angle. He throws hard from down there, too.
Sure does. Broken bat. That's Oscar Hernandez, taken there by Cosma. And there's one away. Jaime Garcia. The Cardinals hold on. Would go to 6-4. ERA well below 2. His ERA on the road now, Rick, is just above 1.
Microscopic.
It'll be game number 126 of the season tomorrow. Cosma can't come up with that one, and a base hit into left. One thing I notice about Pete, when he throws the ball, I mean, it is a cannon.
He does have a cannon. Again, talked with both he and Jose Oquendo today, and love talking defense with those guys. I mean, they just had a lot to say, and just, you know, I could see Pete Cosma being a coach someday, and just think he's that kind of a gritty player. And he's not a real vocal guy, but he knows the game, plays it hard. Has it been a good year for him? Absolutely not. I get that. He gets that, but he certainly knows the game. But one of the things that came up was the fact that, you know, Jose said, you know, I had a good arm like you. And I think people don't understand how good Jose's arm was. But I would say comparable. Now, Jose got to do a little pitching, too.
Yeah, we saw that. Yasmani Tomas with a fly ball into right center, and the catch made by Borges. Showing off his speed. 2 outs.
You think the Padre scout noted that?
Mr. Borges? Absolutely. Chris Owings. Oh, 0-2 the count.
Cardinal fans here have had a lot to cheer for, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. All year long. And the 1-2. The 2-2. Hit into center field. This should do it. The Cardinals, the first team in the major leagues to 80 wins this year. The final of 9-1. St. Louis.
So many things went the Cardinals' way here tonight, beginning with Jaime Garcia picking up that 6th victory. Cardinals offense shows up again. 9 runs on 12 hits. It was all St. Louis Cardinals here tonight in the desert.
Jim Edmonds and Jim Hayes are standing by. They've got the postgame show for you. Big night for Tommy Pham. He'll visit with Pat coming up. 9-1 our final.